I could hear my own heartbeat as I stepped into the glass-walled conference room. The table was already half full: suits, tablets, coffee cups, the faint smell of overpriced cologne. I took a seat near the end, my notepad ready, the kind of eager smile that always felt like a gamble in rooms like this. "Morning," Sarah Collins said without looking up from her laptop. Her tone was clipped, the kind people used when acknowledging the office plant. "Morning," I replied, though my voice barely made it over the shuffle of papers and the low hum of side conversations. Richard Whitmore, the CEO, strolled in like the room belonged to him, which, technically, it did. He didn't glance my way, but I still sat up straighter, pen in hand, hoping that today I might matter. "All right, let's get started," Richard said, tapping his tablet. "We're here to discuss the Q3 performance drop and strategies. Moving forward." Ideas flickered through my head. I'd been thinking about this for weeks, late nights reading reports, sketching ideas in my notebook as the discussion circled the table. People pitched the same predictable solutions: cut costs, shift ad spend, double down on what's working. My stomach tightened. What was working wasn't working anymore. When there was a pause, I took a breath and raised my hand. "I have a suggestion." Richard didn't even let me finish. "Richard, let's stick to people who've actually been in the industry longer than 5 minutes. A ripple of chuckles spread down the table. One exec smirked. Another avoided my eyes entirely. Heat rose in my cheeks. Richard, moving on. "Daniel, you had something." Sarah leaned slightly toward me, her voice low and sharp. "Sarah, just stay quiet if you want to survive here, survive." Like my presence in this room was a kind of trial I hadn't earned the right to pass. I wrote the word survive in my notebook without knowing why. The meeting moved forward without me. I sat there, my jaw clenched, pretending to take notes while my thoughts boiled. You could have said it differently. You could have told them to let you finish. You could have reminded them you were here to contribute, not decorate a chair instead. I heard my own voice, small, brittle, slip out. "Me, understood." It sounded like surrender, and that hurt more than his words. Richard was already deep in conversation with the CFO, talking about trimming dead weight, the kind of language that made me feel like a number on a spreadsheet instead of a human being. I tried to focus on the conversation, but all I could hear was the echo of his voice dismissing me. Not my idea, not my work. Me. My pen tapped against the paper, almost in rhythm with my pulse. Every time I thought about speaking again, I saw his smirk. I heard the laughter. I felt the room close in. Sarah's hand brushed mine as she slid the agenda toward me. She didn't meet my eyes. "Sarah, don't take it personally. That's just how Richard is." "Me, maybe how he is the problem." Her lips twitched like she almost wanted to smile, but did in single quotes did by the time the meeting wrapped. My notebook was filled with doodles and half-formed thoughts I hadn't been allowed to voice. People stood, chatting casually. Nobody spoke to me except one junior exec who asked me to slide the coffee carafe closer. I did. WORDLESSLY. Richard left without acknowledging I'd been in the room at all. I stayed seated a moment longer, watching my reflection in the polished table. I thought about my first day here, the way my mother had hugged me and said, "Make them hear you." But in this room, my voice wasn't even background noise, it was silence. As the last person walked out, I closed my notebook, the page with "survive" staring back at me. It felt less like a warning and more like a dare. I was crouched under the conference room table, fiddling with the projector cables when I heard voices low, urgent, but not quite private. I froze. "Sarah, she's just here to tick the diversity box. Whitmore doesn't even know her name." The words hit me like a slap. I kept my hands still on the wires, but my heart started pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it after the meeting. I waited until Sarah stepped into the break room alone. My throat felt dry. "Me, if I mess up, tell me to my face." She looked at me like I was a joke. "Sarah, it's not personal. It's just reality. You'll get used to it." Her tone was flat, like she was explaining the weather, not dismantling my worth. I bit back a sharp retort. Instead, I said nothing, just stared. The silence between us was heavier than any insult. Later, Daniel Brooks, the IT guy who always gave me a small smile in the hallway, found me at my desk. "Daniel, don't let them write your story for you." His words stayed with me long after he left. I realized then that silence wasn't just a weapon used against MIT, was the entire game. "Dialogue, break down." "Me, I heard what you said." "Sarah, what? Come on. It's just how things work here." "Me, so I'm a checkbox." "Sarah, look, you want to get anywhere? You have to know where you stand." "Me, I'm not standing in a corner." "Sarah, you're new. You don't see it yet." "Me, maybe that's the problem." Every word Sarah spoke felt like a door slamming shut in my face. But Daniel's quiet advice, his belief in me, was like a crack of light. I promised myself I'd remember this moment. I wouldn't let their whispers define me. The conference room felt colder than last time. Maybe it was the way everyone avoided looking at me, or the way Richard's eyes skimmed past my seat like I wasn't even there. When the meeting got to the part where they asked for new ideas, I swallowed the knot in my throat and raised my hand. "Me, if we target the community-based events." Richard cut me off before I could finish. "Richard, we don't have time for side projects." A few heads nodded. A couple of smirks flickered across faces. Someone from the back muttered so low I barely caught it, "Exec, stay in your lane." My fingers tightened around the pen. I forced a tight smile and jotted down notes, but my mind was racing. They don't see it, they're blind to what's bleeding money right now. I kept my voice steady even though everything inside me wanted to shout, me thinking, this isn't about business, it's about control, about keeping me quiet. I caught Sarah's eyes. She didn't meet mine, but the twitch at the corner of her mouth said she knew exactly what was happening. Me thinking, they think I'll break, that I'll fold like everyone before me, but the truth was settling deeper inside me. Their arrogance might be their downfall. If only they'd listen. Dialogue highlights. Me. Community events are growing. We can tap into markets we've ignored for years. Richard, our focus has to be on core clients, not side gigs. Me, but the numbers show those markets. Our untapped revenue. Richard, I said we don't have time. Exec, you're chasing ghosts. Me, or maybe you're scared to change. I sat back, swallowing the bitter taste of dismissal. But somewhere under the surface my resolve was sharpening. If they wouldn't listen now, I'd find a way to make them regret it. I heard whispers before I saw the headlines plastered on every screen in the office. Lobby lost the Carson account. The biggest client gone. My stomach twisted. At lunch, Sarah pulled me aside near the vending machines. Her voice was low, almost, "Nova, Sarah, you heard me, yeah? What now?" She glanced around like the walls might have ears. "Sarah, layoffs could be anywhere." Her eyes darted to the floor, then back to me. "Sarah, we might be looking at layoffs." The word hit like a punch. I swallowed the lump rising in my throat and nodded later. I rode the elevator with James Carter, the CFO. He didn't usually acknowledge me, but today his brow was tight, his voice barely above a whisper. "James, we can't afford a PR disaster on top of this." Richard stood beside him, arms crossed. "Richard, then we need magic, and we need it fast." I felt the weight of those words like a gauntlet thrown down. Magic from who? Me. The intern who was still quiet in their eyes. My mind snapped back to my proposal, the one I'd pitched twice and was ignored both times. Could this be the moment they finally listen, or will they just keep pretending I'm invisible? I caught Daniel in the hallway later. "Me, do you think they'll even consider my idea?" He gave me a steady look. Daniel, they're desperate, but desperation doesn't mean respect. His words cut deeper than I wanted to admit me. "So what do I do?" "Daniel, keep pushing. Quiet doesn't mean powerless." I clenched my fists. If this storm was coming, I wasn't going to be swept away. Dialogue highlights. "Sarah, it's bad. Really bad." Me, "We can still fix this if they'd just listen." Sarah, "Listen, you're not even on their radar." James, "One wrong move and this company could implode." Richard, "We need results yesterday." Me, "Maybe I can help." Richard, cold, "Not now." I realized then the real fight wasn't just against falling profits. It was against being dismissed at every turn, but I wasn't backing down. The emergency boardroom was colder than I expected. The usual chatter was replaced by a thick silence, sharp like the edge of a blade. Richard paced behind the long table, face tight. "Richard, ideas?" "No, anything." His eyes skimmed over everyone but landed on me for just a second, long enough for me to see the hesitation. The silence skip her weighing on him, but no one spoke. The silence pressed down until I raised my hand. He blinked, then nodded, sharply. "Richard, go ahead." I took a breath, steadying my voice. "Me, we need to shift our focus to community-driven brand revival. Local events, targeted outreach, partnerships with grassroots organizations. It's a market we've ignored, but one that's growing fast." James Carter, always the skeptic, leaned forward, fingers steepled. "James, data." I had it ready, pages of notes and charts burning in my mind. "Me, our internal reports show a 25% growth in community event attendance over the last year. Competitors tapping into these markets are seeing double-digit revenue increases. Ignoring this is costing us." Murmurs spread around the table. "Board member, why haven't we heard this before?" The room went silent. Richard's jaw clenched. "Richard, she didn't bring it up before." I looked him straight in the eye. "Me, I tried, twice." The gasps came like waves, surprised awkward coughs filling the cracks. Richard, voice, low, tight. "This isn't the time for distractions." Me, "This isn't a distraction, it's the solution you refused to see." The room shifted. I could feel the power flicker, not fully mine yet, but breaking through the walls of dismissal. Richard's smirk faltered, replaced by something colder, sharper. I swallowed the lump in my throat and pressed on. "Me, if we don't adapt, we lose more than clients. We lose credibility and maybe even this company." No one spoke after that. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. Richard's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Richard, you can't make it work in 2 weeks. We drop it." 2 weeks, impossible. But it was the first time I heard him say yes, even if it came wrapped in a threat. I barely had time to breathe before the real work began. Daniel was already at my desk, pulling up visuals. "Daniel, late nights again. You ready for this?" I gave a tight smile. Me, ready as I'll ever be. Sarah showed up at the office after hours too. She didn't say much, but I caught the flicker in her eyes, a mix of skepticism and something else. One night, after hours, she finally broke the silence. Sarah, I didn't think you had it in you. Her voice was low, not mocking, but honest. I looked her in the eye. Me, you never tried to see. Her face tightened, the truth settling between us. The rest of the team started warming up, sending messages, making calls. We were building something from almost nothing. Every deadline felt like a race against a clock that hated me. But when Sarah finally agreed to coordinate outreach, it felt like a fragile truce, maybe even respect. Sarah, we're still not out of the woods. Me, no, but we're running the race. I knew the board still doubted. Richard still doubted. But for the first time, I wasn't just the ignored intern. Dialogue highlights. Richard, 2 weeks. No excuses. Me, I'll prove it. Daniel, you got this. Sarah, I didn't believe in you. Me, that's on you. I felt the shift, subtle but real. The fight wasn't over, but the ground was moving beneath my feet. 2 weeks. It felt like a lifetime, but when the numbers hit the dashboard, they were impossible to ignore. The campaign worked. Clients came back. Sales climbed. Today, the board called a meeting. Richard sat at the head of the table, but the room buzzed with a different energy. The chair of the board broke the silence first. Board chair, this campaign saved us. Richard's smirk flickered, his usual confidence wavering just a bit. Richard, it was a team effort. I caught a sharp glance from a board member. Board member, it was her idea. Let her speak. The room shifted, all eyes turning to me. My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. Me, thank you. This campaign came from something I've been saying for months, the communities we ignored. People at grassroots events, local markets, neighborhood gatherings. They're the ones who reminded me what real connection looks like. Richard's jaw tightened. Me ignoring these voices cost us dearly, but listening, really listening, can bring us back. Murmurs of agreement circled the room. Richard leaned forward, voice low but sharp. Richard, credit where it's due. I saw the crack in his armor, the first real crack. Me thinking, this is more than acknowledgement. It's the beginning of a new narrative. The board nodded again. Board chair, we want you leading this direction. I swallowed the mix of relief and disbelief. For the first time, my voice wasn't just heard. It mattered. Dialogue highlights. Richard, team effort. Board member, let her speak. Me, it was my idea. Board chair, you saved his company. Richard, credit where it's due. This moment was mine, not just a win for the campaign, but for every time they tried to silence me. The whole company packed into the auditorium felt like the final stage of a battle I hadn't even signed up for. But here I was, center stage, or at least about to be. Richard stepped up to the podium. His usual smirk was missing, replaced by something tight and brittle. Richard, our new junior marketing manager, he let it hang like a test. I stepped forward, heart hammering but voice steady. Me, thank you. A pause. The room waited. Then I said what I'd held back all these months. The words that felt heavier than any boardroom dismissal or whispered insult. Me, I just want to say, don't ever underestimate the quiet ones. Sometimes we're quiet because no one listens. The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. A few hesitant claps broke through, but Richard didn't move. His face stayed tight. He avoided my eyes like they were fire. Later, Daniel caught me by the exit, a grin breaking through his usually calm demeanor. Daniel, guess they know your name now. I smiled back, something calm settling deep inside me. Me thinking, I'll never stay in my lane again. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. I wasn't silenced. I was seen, heard. Finally, dialogue highlights. Richard, our new junior marketing manager. Me, thank you. Me, don't ever underestimate the quiet ones. Daniel, guess they know your name now. This was more than a promotion. It was my voice reclaimed, my power earned, my story rewritten on my terms.